Behavioral and Screening Part 2. This episode has 4 questions. For each question, take a moment to think through your own answer before I share a strong approach. Question 1. What are the areas you do not know well or have not worked on yet? Here's a strong way to approach it. Answer honestly with something genuinely true but not disqualifying for the role, and immediately follow it with what you're doing to close that gap: a course, a side project, hands-on exposure you're seeking. This shows self-awareness and growth mindset rather than either false modesty or a hidden major gap. Avoid claiming you have no weak areas, which reads as lacking self-awareness. Nice. Let's continue. Question 2. What is the difference between theoretical knowledge and real-time, hands-on production experience, and how do you bridge that gap? Here's a strong way to approach it. Theoretical knowledge is understanding how something is supposed to work. Real-time production experience is knowing how it actually behaves under real load, real failure modes, and real operational constraints that documentation rarely covers. The gap shows up in things like knowing a retry pattern exists versus having debugged what happens when retries themselves cause a cascading failure. Bridge it by seeking hands-on exposure deliberately, side projects, on-call rotations, shadowing incidents, rather than relying on reading alone, and be honest in interviews about which of your knowledge is battle-tested versus studied. Great. Moving on. Question 3. Have you worked independently on a project, or always as part of a team? Describe an example. Here's a strong way to approach it. Give a specific example showing both modes if you have them. A project you owned end-to-end independently, design decisions, execution, and outcome all yours, and one where you contributed as part of a larger team effort. Calling out what you specifically contributed in the team scenario so it doesn't sound vague. Being able to speak concretely to both shows range, since senior roles typically require both independent ownership and collaborative execution. Alright, next question. Question 4. What would you do if an automation script you wrote failed or caused an unintended change in production? Here's a strong way to approach it. First, contain and mitigate the impact immediately. Stop the script if it's still running. Assess what actually changed, and roll back or fix the unintended change as fast as possible. Prioritizing restoring correct state over understanding root cause in the moment. Afterward, do a proper root cause analysis of why the script behaved unexpectedly. Missing validation, an untested edge case, insufficient dry run testing, and add the specific safeguard. Better input validation, a dry run mode, smaller blast radius rollout, that would have caught it, treating it as a concrete process improvement rather than just a one-off mistake. Let's keep going. That wraps up this episode. Nice work practicing, and see you in the next one.